Very rarely do I read a book that just blows my mind to the point where I almost want to read it again. Well, that just happened with this book right here. Here's my review of Grant Sabatier's Financial Freedom. What's up, guys? Welcome back. My name is Brad. I make videos about financial freedom, positivity, and living an overall happy life. Consider joining the almost 3,000 people that have subscribed to the Fin Mindset. Now, I have to say, since starting my debt-free journey, I've read a bunch of books. And I was kind of fearful about getting this one by Grant because so many of them had started to fall into the same old narrative. Somebody's getting rich, somebody's trying to sell you something, somebody has this weird circumstance that they went through, and I just wasn't sure. But then this book came recommended me by somebody that I really trust when it comes to their ideas about books, so I gave it a try. And it's almost like a double take. I almost had to go back and read it again because I read things that I just didn't believe could possibly be true. This hasn't happened pretty much since the Total Money Makeover that I read about a year and a half ago. My whole financial outlook has been changed by just this one book. Every other book that I've read, I just feel like I couldn't relate to the author. Like, we didn't have anything in common. But when I was reading Grant's book, I almost felt like I was talking to one of my boys. Like, he kept things so simple and so relatable that I found myself not even being able to put it down. Over 300 pages of small type print, and I read through this thing like it was nobody's business. I felt like as I was reading it, he really wanted me to succeed, and it wasn't about him. And like I said, with most financial books that I've read of late, that's just been the case. If you have a book that blew your mind, please get down in the comments and leave it. I love reading, and I love reading about this new financial freedom that I'm trying to find. Please, I beg you, if there's a book that you think I should read, please get down in the comments and leave that below. And if you're interested in this book, I'll leave the link to that down below as well. And also, Audible is giving 2 free audiobooks if you sign up for a free trial. So that link is down there below too if you want to pick this up on audiobook for free. One of the things I liked most about this book right from the beginning was the amount of charts and graphs and visual aids that he used to help get his point across. So many times with numbers and finance books, you could find yourself reading, but it becomes very, very hard to follow with percentages and charts and stocks and gains. He did an outstanding job of every single time I was reading, and I was like, I wish I could see that in a graph. I'd turn the page and there'd be a full layout of multiple incomes, of strategies, retirement numbers. This was actually one of those books that I really wouldn't recommend on audiobook. If you listen to this on audiobook, you really would lose a ton of value in all the graphs and the charts that he gave you leading up to financial freedom. So here's kind of like a little chapter by chapter review. The first chapter pretty much is his credentials, how he went from having no money to being a millionaire and how he did it quickly. And like I said, this was super relatable. And I almost felt like as I was reading it, I could put myself in his shoes. Although I'm a little bit older than him, we've all had that moment where we had enough and we said, I am broke, I want to fix that. And that's really all Grant did, which made him not this superhero financial free kind of guy. It made him somebody that you want to listen to and that you really felt like his best interest was your best interest as well. This laid the book out nicely for the things that were going to come, and it made it more comfortable to read, and I almost gained a little bit of trust in him after reading that first chapter. He really started to change my mindset right from the second chapter, where he put financial freedom and retirement in the sense of time and not money. He pretty much rewrote what retirement meant to me and kind of gave this, we're shooting for a time in our life. We're not shooting for an amount of money. And he made it simply clear when he said, would you trade places with a 90-year-old billionaire? I don't know about you, but for me, the answer is immediately no. Because when you start talking about 90-year-olds, you think about the time you have left. And the $1 billion doesn't really matter. And this is really what focused you down into knowing that when we are trying to achieve financial freedom, we are trying to achieve time well spent, not necessarily an amount of money. Because financial freedom, the dollar amount itself, is going to be different for everyone. And I never realized that. I was so focused on, I got to be a millionaire. I got to save $1 million. Turns out with the way I'm living, I might not even need to invest $1 million. And it wasn't until I started to think about retirement and financial freedom in terms of time and not money that I really understood this. In chapter 3, he talked about your number, and that's pretty much the retirement number that's going to be built for you, according to pretty much how much money you spend on a yearly basis. What are your expenses? And he talked about as he became more wealthy over time, he actually wanted to spend less. He talked about the difference in numbers for people that live in different spots and what your lifestyle will be. He touched upon the Trinity study, which a lot of us have heard of, the 25% rule and that 4% withdrawal rate to live off dividends for the rest of your life. And he pretty much made a framework of here's the number that we are going to need to retirement. It's not going to be the age. It's not this $1 million mark. This number is going to be set to you. And he does a great job and gave tools on his website to help people find their exact number. This number then worked into finding your net worth and the importance of doing so. I've talked about it a lot on my channel, how finding my net worth really helped drive me forward in times when, my debt-free journey was kind of stagnant and not moving so much, because the net worth tends to go up and up regardless of how many big chunks you take out. But he also made it quite clear that your net worth is not your number. We have to have liquid assets and things that we can touch, and then we can have other assets like your home. Your home is really worth what people will pay for it, not what it says on paper. And you can't withdraw assets out of your house. So we talked about the difference in gaining investments to live off of through FI as opposed to your net worth, which is an overall picture of how well you're really doing. After going through your net worth and your number, he finally started to lay out the plans, the framework that everybody could use to reach FI quicker. And he first started with how you should be making money as quickly as possible when you can, and how your income is really going to be your best tool. And we've heard that before. I've heard Dave Ramsey say, that the number one way to get wealthy is your income. And Grant pretty much said the same exact thing. He wanted to make it very clear that if you have a pretty secure day job, right now, while you're achieving FI, don't necessarily get rid of that day job right now. That's your income, that's your benefits, and that's going to be the tool that's going to help you get to FI quicker. And he talked about while you have that full-time job, that's when we should be working on our side hustles and building passive income streams, so then when we get closer to retirement, then we can leave our jobs and live off all the work we did on the side while having our full-time job. To me, that's exactly what I feel like I'm doing. I'm working full-time as a teacher and I love it, but I'm also building side hustles and building passive streams of income so that when I get to my number, I'll be able to retire, live off dividends, live off gains, but also live off my passive income streams as well. Chapter 6 and 7, right in the middle of the book, is really where I fell in love with the book and I knew that I was going to go back and read it again. And if you start reading this book and you're not really sure, wait till chapter 6 and 7. For me, it totally changed my incomplete outlook on spending money and why we are spending money and the trade-offs we make when we do. I've been taught since the beginning of my financial journey, just cut spending, cut spending, cut spending. In chapter 6 and 7, he talked about the differences and similarity in minimum spending versus maximum saving and the mindset that it creates. So many people, when I tell them that I'm living frugally and I'm not spending and I'm trying to cut my spending, they look at me like I'm a weirdo. But then when I tell people I'm saving up for this, I'm saving for retirement, I'm building my investments, that's when they all start clapping their hands. And it's true. To ourselves, when we're in a debt-free journey and we look at cutting spending, it kind of brings us down a little bit. Now, if I can think solely on maximizing saving and minimizing spending, which is exactly the same thing in a way, I can change my mindset to a more positive, more fulfilling outlook on my debt-free journey. He talked about just thinking like, you could buy things, but when you buy things, think that every single time you spend money, you're sacrificing something else. You're buying one thing now, so you can't buy another thing later. And that really, it came clear to me that when I look at things, I have to be mindful of my spending, and then I have to decide if that's going to be worth my time and happiness. Is there a return on investment on myself, as opposed to just saying, I can't spend, I'm in debt. I can't spend, I'm in debt. I can't spend, I'm in debt. Now I have the opportunity to say, okay, I'm spending, I'm in debt. How is this going to affect my future? And then I can make a mature, adult, non-impulsive decision. Chapter 8 would be great for a lot of people. It wasn't really great for me. This was kind of like the downside of the book for me. He talked about ways to hack your 9 to 5 and ways you could get raises and work remotely. As a school teacher, My pay, where I work, when I work is all pretty fixed. There's not a lot of room for negotiation. So I skimmed through the chapter, but I didn't really read it to its fullest potential. That's probably something I'll hit on my second pass. But one thing that I did get from this chapter was don't waste your weekends. And that's true for me right now. The weekend should be your most productive time. Don't live for Fridays, because when you live for Fridays, it becomes Monday and you lose 2 full days every single week, or 100 days throughout the year that you can't do something awesome. He then spoke about investing, and pretty much investing for dummies. He made this so simple and so clear. Everything from how to open accounts, to which accounts to fund first, to which accounts to withdraw from first when you get to retirement. He made it so simple. If you're getting out of debt and you're getting ready to retire, just this chapter towards the later end of the book is worth the purchase in itself, in my opinion. The real estate chapter is where I thought Grant would really lose me, because I was like, here it comes, leverage debt, leverage debt, leverage debt. And you want to know what? There was a little bit of that in the beginning. But then he did what no other real estate investor has done in all the real estate investors that I listened to. He talked about leveraging debt and good debt and bad debt, and I was shaking my head. Here we go, here we go. But then he talked about making these decisions only when you were financially ready. I was like, thank you. Why doesn't everybody say that? He talked about making good decisions and renting when you can, and what you should be spending on investment properties and what portion of your income should go towards that. He made it so clear. He almost took the bad taste of real estate investing out of my mouth altogether. I kind of finished the chapter like, maybe I should be saving up for some real estate, which is something that no other real estate investor has been able to do. So I give you credit for that one, Grant. You changed my mind on real estate investing all through your relatable, positive outlook of looking at both sides of the picture. Leveraging good debt when you're responsible, but also making sure that all of your ducks are in a row first before you make that leap into financial investing. And then the end of the book pretty much wrapped up like what you're going to be doing when you get to retirement. Talked about withdrawals and how to stay busy and how to keep building passive income streams, and talked about an overall framework of getting to this particular point in your life and being able to say no along the way to get there, and the importance of being able to say no. He talked about how impulse is the enemy of financial freedom, and that really struck a chord with me, and it really hit home. And it's something that I've been thinking about every single day. If you read this book or want to read this book, please give this video a thumbs up. If you hate this book and you hate Grant or you hate me, give it a thumbs down. That's okay too. Please get in the comments. Let me know, what are you reading now? What'd you think of this book? And what should I be reading next? Until I see you on the next one, guys, stay positive, work really, really hard, and be kind to others. I'll see you on the next one.
No.